And as we look ahead to the 2027 general elections, the atmosphere keeps, going up and up. The landscape is being redefined, and at the heart of the conversation is the emerging coalition under the banner of the African Democratic Congress, with key figures from various opposition parties reportedly reuniting. Now, the big question on everyone's mind is, can this new coalition genuinely challenge and defeat the incumbent All Progressives Congress elections and its formidable political machinery? The APC is a party that made history by unseating a sitting government. And this has happened, and it came after the coalition of its powers. But it's not without its own internal rumblings. Now, on the other side, the ADC coalition, on the other hand, presents itself as a fresh alternative. But again, it faces the enormous task of uniting diverse interests, building a nationwide structure, and convincing Nigerians that it's more than just a gathering of disgruntled political veterans. So tonight, we're joined by an esteemed political scholar to unpack this complex and fascinating topic. He's a professor of political science and public administration at the Nigerian Army University, BIU. I hope I'm correct, Prof. Anyway, I don't get it correctly, please just call my attention.
I was in view, but not but in my knowledge.
Okay, not anymore. Okay. So he's known for his deep insight into Nigeria's political development and governance. So please let's welcome Professor Emmanuel Chijoke Ogbonna. Professor, thank you for joining us. We're eager to have you here and to hear your expert analysis on what promises to be a defining moment in Nigeria's democratic journey. Now, Professor holds a PhD in political science and comparative politics, and a master's degree in political science as well from the University of Ibadan. So, Prof, we're glad to have you. So, Victor, I hope you have your questions ready, and everyone, I hope you are listening. If anyone that has any questions should, bring it up, can hit me up, or send it to us here so that we curate them and we have Prof here to respond to any questions that we might have on this particular topic. So, Prof, thanks for joining us. So we are going to start with the coalition aspects. Okay. Now, with recent reports from PDP cutting His Excellency Peter Obi back into the party, how can the ADC coalition prevent defections before 2027? Bro,
okay, repeat that. You said repeat that again. Let me get you.
Yes, as the question is, with recent reports of PDP, they're trying to get Peter Obi back into the PDP, and so if they get him back into the PDP, is going to scuttle the coalition efforts, because the coalition is meant to be, a gathering or a bringing together of big, heavy political bigwigs like Peter Obi and El Rufai and Atiku Abubakar. So how can the ADC prevent defections before 2027, like further defections of someone like Peter Obi?
Okay.
PDP? Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for hosting this session, and also thank you for finding it, exigent actually for us to have this kind of conversation at this time. You just like you've actually mentioned, it is very, very timely. And the political landscape at the moment is one, though actually, as critical observers, we are all citizens we are all citizens of Nigeria, and then we've observed the political climate even since 2015. We shouldn't actually be surprised, despite that the politicking this time even came faster. It was as if preparation for 2027 election just started even at the inauguration of the current president in 2023 and all that. So
Yeah.
we actually here and then, just like we've started, we'll make contributions with regards to conditioning the landscape in preparation to 2027. Let us actually set this straight. One thing we actually need to know is that we know democracy is not given on a platter of gold. It is actually usually struggled for. Citizens determine the outcome of the citizens determine how they are to be governed. And in most instances, citizens who have on their own experience arbitrary, the peak of arbitrary governance and all that, we have to externally be vigilant in order to condition political outcomes. So what am I saying? In essence, what makes democracy an attractive system of government is that citizens perform two functions. What are those two functions? They reward good governance and they punish fundamental transgressions. But let us actually break it down further. Within the political climate or within the political ecosystem, the citizens are usually in two flanks. I hope I'm being heard. Let me get a thumbs up if I'm being heard clearly, because it's running here.
Yes, it's very
Okay.
clear.
Thank you. So within the political ecosystem, the citizens are in two flanks. We have what we call the political society. Our discussion here today is on the political society, made up of the ruling party and the opposition party, and a whole lot of that. And then we also have the general citizen, of which every other member which is not a member of political party, which constitutes actually the majority. In most instances, without talking about on sitting of the president, is it a functionality of the roles of this coalition? If we actually want to unpack it, because one thing is that there is a way discourses, especially once it's actually politically inclined and media framed by media, there's a way media this discourse try to set up a psychological mindset. And in that psychological mindset, they are trying to actually prove a point that the the public space have actually been totally taken over by the political society. You know what I mean by that? As if the political society, the political elite on their own, through their shenanigans, through their alliances, through their affiliations, through their innovations, can on their own take absolute control of the political ecosystem, determine power, the tenure of leadership, whether they are to renew it and all that. That is the kind of thinking they are trying to frame, which is actually a product of deficit. It's a product of deficit in conceptualizing and ideating on democracy and all that. So the citizens see actually play fundamental role. So back to that, actually having at the moment questions about a PDP wooing P2P to actually come back and all that. These shenanigans and all these kind of intricacies also is a product of that thinking that the political society can actually do it alone. It is the citizens that will determine the outcome of the 2027 election. And while the citizens stoop to conquer and start yielding all their dynamics, all their capacity in determining that outcome, once they cede it to the political class, it is also, they have actually undone themselves and all that. So if the PDP was back P2B, in reality, if we are members of the political class and political society, in reality, it will affect the coalition. Because the coalition is trying to draw on the dynamics. What makes P2B relevant? What makes P2B relevant is his engagement. Is his engagement in the 2023 election. We all witnessed that election, and even those who have said that he will not be able to come out with even two states. Some others are there actually. Some experts say the Labour Party didn't actually have structure and a whole lot of all those, perception. He was able to prove it wrong. Everybody who witnessed that election will know that it was a hard-fought election where even glitches also became normalized as part of the game to make sure that the desired result, whatever that means or however we interpret it, that the desired result was actually registered. But let us actually say this too. Even rigging election needs the permission of the citizens. Because once the citizens stand and remain standing, the political class will have no option. Once the citizens stand and remain standing, the political class will have no option. It is with our permission. If we decide to say this has happened, let us go to bed. So when this issue of coalition, their capacity is actually being taunted, when people react, you will see political actors, you're seeing APC making comments, even hosting a press on issues of ADC, trying to impose article. You could see actually Wike talking about coalition and the membership. You could see all other prominent political figures. But when you look at these people, there is one single thing you will glean from them. The level of arrogance and the absorption that the political society, the general masses have become useless, that the political shenanigans, political class, and political parties alone can do it, which is a falsehood.
Thank you, Prof. That was a very, very well in-depth analytical, view of this question. So you said something about citizens. Before I go to the citizens' power, you said something about possibility of that if Peter Obi goes back to PDP, what's the possibility of His Excellency Peter Obi going back to the PDP? Is this something you think or you foresee possible? And if possible that he goes to the PDP, is it going to favor him? You understand?
Yes. The one thing is that any key observer of Nigerian politics, especially even from 2014 and thereabout, and any person who have observed Nigerian politics and being asked this kind of question, will be somehow eclipsed in actually giving a very firm answer. First, all of us here, we are actually part of the general citizens who are key observers. And as much as I'm a political scientist, I'm going to analyze the chances based on the matrix of politics we know. But we know that in the field, the practice of Nigerian politics in recent time have been something else. First, you're asking, even what we call coalition, I mentioned it. The character of the people calling who are coalescing in order to contest against President Ahmed Tinubu is actually something that show that even the citizens need to interrogate. First, I'm going to talk about the chances of P2B, but let us actually talk about the chances of P2B in the ADC and implication if Nigerians want to rationalize their choice. Who are those in the coalition? I'm seeing Aregbesola. Aregbesola governed Osun State for 8 years. Aregbesola collected, paid half salaries for more than that, for up to maybe 4-5 years or thereabout. He paid half salaries. Civil servants were not promoted. They became stagnated and all that. It became a hopeless state until the new governor came, and a new governor had been scoring points by paying, I think, was it 2 days ago? How many months arrears? 11 months was paid at once. You know what that will do to the impulse of a public servant? And all that, when 11 months, at least if 11 months are there, that will be like even 5.5 months old salary paid at once. And that's Aregbesola. We have somebody like David Mark. Who is David Mark? We remember him. Former Senate President of Nigeria and all that. His constituency is Iboko area of Benue State and all that. It's within his constituency and all that. There are 2 states in Nigeria. Apologies to some of my friends who are from those 2 states. When you go to Benue and Kogi State, the level of poor governance in those states are nearly diabolical. As if light cannot actually beam out of those states. And then you wonder, are people coming from there? That also takes us to another person, Dino Melaye, and all that. And one other, then far northwest, we have somebody like El Rufai, who's nearly bigotry. in terms of religion, in terms of even hate, and loud insults to other parts of the region, especially the South Nigeria, became so pronounced towards the build-up to 2015 and what have you. I actually met somebody on Tuesday. The person was telling me how much he loved Peter Obi and said that he will never, he's from the north, he said he will never vote in any party where air of fire is actually staying. So I have actually established, this fear of ADC. When one wants to make a political choice, we need to look at two first: horizon of attainment and horizon of avoidance. The horizon of avoidance is you're talking about, we've looked at the existing, the status quo. We've looked at those populating. We look at the policies of the current government and all that, and we have come to agreement these things are not where we want to be. Then there should be a horizon of attainment of where we want to be. If I dare ask, these characters have actually mentioned forming coalition and what have you. Are they characters that we think can take us to where we want to be? Are they actually proper? The proper personnel that will actually take us, personnel that will take us to where we want to be. And secondly, even Peter Obi's identification with this kind of characters in the name of a coalition, don't we think it has in a way even also eroded that capital which he came to contest with, the social capital he came to contest with in 2015 and all that? Having actually established that, the PDP and all that, moving back to PDP, whether it will affect the coalition and all that. First, we actually need to say this. We might, in as much as it's difficult for us to eschew sentiment, the coalition shouldn't ordinarily be about Peter Obi. It shouldn't actually be about Peter Obi. It shouldn't ordinarily be about Peter Obi and all that. If he decides to move back to PDP and with all the challenges in PDP is now an appendage of the APC under the grab of two flanks. Wike is holding PDP on its larger part of the cloak and has tied it on the leg of APC. And then the other part of PDP is trying to actually survive. So PDP is one kind of special arrangement, seeming to